And joining us on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line is the man whose life will be chronicled in the first episode of Icons on Epix, Saturday night at 9 Eastern Time. Pro Football Hall of Famer, none other than Brett Favre, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing good, Rich. How about yourself?
Hanging in there, man. So your life has been chronicled a million times in documentaries. This one feels a little bit different. There's tons of photographs from your high school years and your early years. Have you gotten a chance to see The Hour yet, Brett?
I've seen bits and pieces. Some of those pictures I haven't seen in, my goodness, over 20 or 30 years. And, it's as if I need any help knowing how old I am and how quickly it goes by. The older you get, the faster it goes. But it's a pleasant reflection back over not only my pro career, but dating back to grade school.
Well, I mean, we just showed a picture of you taking a knee in a number 10 jersey. Who was number 10 for? You just got issued that? Is that a high school picture of you running around? Yeah, there it is, number 10. I was number 10 until I got to Southern Miss. That was my favorite number. I got to Southern Miss. Reggie Collier, who was a great player at Southern Miss, had number 10, and I asked the equipment manager if I could have number 10. He said, you can have 4 or no jersey at all. And I said, I'll take 4. I didn't have much bargaining power back then. So that's how you got number 4 in your career?
That's exactly how I got number 4. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing how that happens. And, of course, so you asked for number 4 everywhere you went after that, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I figured, there wasn't many number 4s before me that had really done the number very proud. So I said, hey, why not be the first?
What do you think of when you're referred to as an icon, Brett? What do you think?
I sort of inside I kind of chuckle. And I've said this so many times. Where I came from, the story, and I know there's other guys that have stories as well that are just as compelling or like you got to be kidding me type stories. But I ran. A lot of the kids today don't even know. For a kid who ran the wishbone and the wing tee and never threw it, I had a pretty doggone good career. Who'd ever thunk it back then? That was my dream, to become not an icon, but to become a pro football player and to far exceed the expectations and the hopes that I had as a young kid I can't tell you how grateful and thankful I am for the opportunity, and I'm just glad that I made the most of it.
Brett Favre here on the Rich Eisen Show, again, Icons, which I am honored to be narrating along with Epix and NFL Films, an hour-long documentary on folks like Jerry Rice and Emmitt Smith and my current guest, Brett Favre, debuting Saturday night, 9 Eastern Time on Epix, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Brett, what do you think is going through Tom Brady's mind right now as he is a couple of days removed from being in Foxborough as an opponent? What was going through your mind?
I would think.
What do you think?
I would think Tom is probably, maybe not so much today, but come Saturday evening, Saturday night, certainly Sunday morning, as he makes that bus ride to Foxworth as an opponent for the first time. It will be as if it's his first start, back when he was a Patriot. It has that type of feel to it. It's hard to explain because only a few guys have been able to do it. But it's a nervous, excited, like almost wondering how you're going to be received by the fans. Which I don't think that's a no-brainer. I think he'll be well received. But, he wants to go in there, not that he has anything to prove to his team, his former team, or to the former management. But he wants to play his best. And, Tom normally does play his best week in and week out. So I envision another Tom Brady type day, but with the joy and enthusiasm like he was when Drew Bledsoe got hurt and he came in.
Well, I mean, you on the night of November 1st, 2009, when you returned to Lambeau for the first time, as you just kind of pointed out, it was a whole different ball of wax from the fact that, you didn't know how you were going to be received. You were also going against Aaron Rodgers. This time it's Mac Jones for him, and I don't think Patriots fans are going to have a similar reaction to his appearance as maybe some Packers fans had to you. But, I mean, what was that like for you that night when you strolled out onto Lambeau Field and you weren't wearing the G on the side of your helmet? I mean, for him, I still even imagine, despite winning the Super Bowl for the Buccaneers, it'll be a bizarre experience for him.
Yeah,
on Sunday night.
I had deep down, I had a feeling that, there would be a lot of boos. So I wasn't really overwhelmed with the reception I got. I was almost flattered because it was the loudest I'd ever heard Lambeau in regards to a visiting team or a visiting player. And so I took great pride and was sort of honored by that. But much like when my father passed away, there was enormous pressure that I had internally to perform at a level that, I didn't know if I could perform at. And of course I wanted to win, and that was most important. But I knew in order to do that, I had to play well. And I'd played well several weeks before against the Packers in Minnesota. But this was totally different, deal playing in Lambeau. So the pressure was on to perform at the highest level. And that was, I think back to, I had butterflies like no other in that game.
Well, you had 4 touchdowns in that game, just like the game that you with your dad after he had passed on that Monday. I mean, so how would you counsel Tom? I know he's been there and done that, but on focusing with all the circus and the level of expectation here.
I don't think Tom needs any advice from me or anyone else. I mean, he obviously has played in big games, lots of big games, playoffs, Super Bowls. This is a first for him, obviously. And he'll, his experience and his demeanor will be fine. This is not a really good Patriots team. I'm not saying that they can't beat Tampa, but, I think the one thing that you can't do, and I'm sure he knows this, is you just can't force the issue. You just gotta, you want to play well. You want to play lights out. You want to play better than you've ever played before, but you got to let it come to you, and it will. I think they're just way too good a team to lay an egg in this one.
Yeah, I mean, how badly did you want to win that night? In
I don't know if there was ever a game that I wanted to win. Of course, I wanted to win the Super Bowl. As much as any game I ever played in, but I can't say that beating the Packers was not as equal, if not more, of a priority to me.
Is that a way that you really wanted to beat their ass? Is that what you're basically saying to me, Brad?
Yeah. How could you not want to prove to your old team? Now, again, the circumstances, the situation was a little bit different right. With my deal as opposed to Tom. But I felt like I was too good to play against the Packers and not good enough to play for them. That's kind of the feeling I got from management at the time. And so how could you not want to prove that they made a mistake?
Brett Favre here on the Rich Eisen Show in advance again of Icons that he will be featured as the debut episode 1-hour documentary I'm narrating NFL films and epics putting together right here on the Rich Eisen Show. How do you think the story with Aaron Rodgers is going to end, Brett? What do you think? How do you think that ends in Green Bay?
I was surprised by the whole deal this past offseason. They got a good thing going, and they still got a good thing going. And they played really poorly in the first game, but they're playing now like you would expect. And I don't see that, other than really Aaron in his age, and I don't see any decline in his play. If anything, he's better. They're a good young. I just don't know if his chances to win the Super Bowl go up going anywhere else. So I just find it hard to believe that he would go anywhere else, and management would let him go anywhere else, nor would he choose to go anywhere else. I assume they got everything resolved, so I see him finishing his career in Green Bay. Now, will he play as long as Tom Brady? I mean, his age is his age, but he doesn't. He plays as if he's 25.
Well, he was on a couple weeks ago on this show, Brett Favre, and I asked him what had changed between the offseason and then the day that he came in that make him want to come in and end all of this, even though, as I said, I kept referring to him as being back with Green Bay, even though he technically never left. And he said the only thing that had changed was trust and hope. Those are the words. I wrote them down here in this book as he wrote it down because I'm a professional. I write things down. And he said, trust and hope is a beautiful thing, or it can lead to despair and frustration, is what he said. And right now he's got trust and hope. And I thought to myself that that's all it is. I mean, why won't the Packers just essentially say, well, we're sticking to our plan? Jordan Love, we drafted him, even though I think that would be kind of crazy. So I don't know how it ends, is what I'm saying.
Well, I honestly, I don't either. I think I'm maybe assuming too much, even though they got a good thing going. I don't think Jordan Love is the issue, really. I think it's more retaining players or bringing players back that he felt comfortable with. Obviously, Randall Cobb is tops on that list, but it's going to be interesting to see if they retain the players that he hopes that they retain. Devontae Adams, maybe a lineman, maybe a guy you really don't know much about, but to him, is vital to their success. It's going to be interesting to see if management yields to his demands. That would be sort of a first. If it happens.
Brett Favre here on the Rich Eisen Show. And then I guess lastly, it's a fascinating matchup for the Packers this weekend with Big Ben coming in and the whole concept of, wanting to make sure that you're not sticking with a quarterback who's got diminishing returns out of the blue. And the first 3 weeks for Big Ben, he has not looked good at all. Don't know if it's the offense, if it's his physical abilities. When did you first realize, Brett, that maybe your physical abilities, that you were seeing the returns diminish? When did that first happen for the guy who was the Iron Man of football for long?
My last year as a Packer was my best year statistically speaking. We had a great year. We almost got to the Super Bowl, but we didn't. The previous year was just an okay year. And I really felt like that year it was I don't want to say obvious, but sort of obvious, if that makes sense, that to me, that I didn't, my game was different than Aaron. My game was different than Tom Brady. I relied on, I was kind of uncharacteristically, a pocket quarterback, so I could drop back and my footwork would look okay and I would step in the throws. I would do that, a fair amount. But a lot of my game was, I felt pressure. I escaped, made plays on the move, left, right. It didn't matter. My dodgeability, if you will. And I didn't feel like that in the 15th year as a Packer, that I felt like the things that I used to escape from, I didn't escape from as much. I didn't react as much to a blind side. You can feel something. You hear people say he's got a sixth sense. I still had it, but sometimes I would tell myself duck, and I would get hit, and then I would react to it. And not all the time, but I just felt like in year 15, which was my 16th year in the league, I noticed my arm strength felt great. And once I had bicep surgery after I left the Jets, it felt tremendous. And, I went on to Minnesota and played exceptionally well, maybe the best I've ever played. But I still, even in that year and with the Jets, things just kind of lingered. Injuries lingered, new things popped up, and along with the mobility shift, I guess, if you will, I started sensing it around year 15.
Can you see it when you see it in a current quarterback? Like, even if it's Big Ben, can you, if watching it, you could say, okay, that looks like the stuff that I was going through?
You know, what I see more than anything, and not necessarily with Big Ben, but just in general, just thinking back over the years and just, knowing what I know now, I tend to see the first thing that goes is the mental part of it, where you don't necessarily believe, for whatever reason, you can't make that throw. You can't escape, I can almost see it in the faces of players. Maybe my time is drawing closer to the end. So, and obviously I'm not right all the time, but I think Big Ben has been exceptionally great for a long time and very sneaky. From a mobility standpoint, he can, slither out of just about anything, and that starts diminishing a little bit. And how that transition goes. Can you transition into a non-escape quarterback? So almost like a bewildered look on a guy's face, if that makes sense.
It sure does, Brett. Thanks for the call. Always appreciate catching up with you, and I look forward to seeing the full icons on Epic Saturday night. You be well.
Hey, it's always fun talking with you, Rich.
Always fun talking.
Being on.
Right back at you. That's Brett Favre right here. And, I saw you in that SiriusXM commercial. How many takes in the bathtub for you in that spot?
Look, I'm
Brett?
a one-take guy, but they wanted about 50 different lines.
Mm-hmm.
So we went through a lot of bubbles.
Okay. All right. Kind of like, very nice temperature. So did they warm it up for you a few times? Like,
yeah,
hey.
Oh, yeah, I was sweating bullets.
Hey, these things happen in retirement. You know what I'm saying?
They do.
Take care of yourself, Brett Favre. Thanks for the call.
Rich.
Yeah, it's Brett Favre, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Again, catch icons on Epic Saturday night, 9 Eastern time. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.